Would you like to introduce yourself before we get started?
Yes, I'm Love Hannington. I'm a space holder, I'm an artist, and I space hold with art sometimes. I'm also a Reiki
Mhm,
practitioner, shamanic practitioner. So that gives me a
mhm,
wealth of knowledge around folk herbalism, um,
mhm,
healing practices that are actually really rooted in both my heritage and because
mhm,
Reiki isn't my heritage, Reiki is Japanese.
mhm,
So,
mm, mm,
um,
mm,
also working with our other heritages in a respectful way.
mm, Amazing, amazing. That's really touching on what we hopefully going to talk about a little bit as well. So I'll introduce myself. So I am Jamaican and white British, and I'm a yoga and meditation teacher, retreat host, and also a mentor to yoga teachers as well. So let's dive in with this topic. So I'll start off with the famous saying that some of you may have heard of, and I think it's where is it? So ain't all skin folk kinfolk. Is that what it is? Yeah,
I
have I
think
said it
so.
right?
Skin folk ain't kinfolk. So
Oh,
all,
okay.
all
Yeah.
people of the same skin aren't necessarily family. Not family in the literal sense, family familial in that sort of relational sense. You know, some people
Hmm.
really aren't for their people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've all
Hmm.
we've all grown up under colonization and colonial
Hmm.
empires, which
Hmm.
means that to some extent we've all internalized these narratives of colony. Um,
Hmm.
some people, it may be more than others. And
Hmm.
I want to say here, I don't say this out of actually judgment for them, it's empathy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you end up taking on these narratives because that's what feels safest in a society that's actually
Hmm.
quite attacking of a global majority when you're in the
Hmm.
West, when you're in heavily colonial white countries.
Hmm.
So we do what we can do to survive under these situations, but
Hmm.
that means that some people probably aren't going to be the safest to be around
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
context.
Yeah, yeah. So that saying is, I think it's by Zora Neale Hurston. That's what
Mhm.
I've read. That it's meant to be by. She was an anthropologist. She did some really interesting work around African American hoodoo, and also she did voodoo in Haiti and also Obia in Jamaica as well.
Mhm.
And she also interviewed, I think, the last surviving person born into um, slavery as well. I think she also has a book. So yeah, just giving her props. um, so I think what we'll do. So hi to anyone who's joining in this conversation. You know, please do come in with your thoughts as well.
Yeah, people.
Um,
This is such
yeah.
a complex topic. We're
Mm,
not experts on this. So this is simply
mm,
a
mm,
dialogue
mm.
that we want you to join in on.
Definitely. So I have a couple of things that I wanted to touch on that I think for the day retreats are important to me. But then maybe I'll open it up to you or maybe to people watching and talking about what are some values that you think are important.
Mhm.
Um, so for me, the number one as a yoga teacher, movement person is body positivity or body neutrality.
Mhm.
So we have all been brought up under, toxic diet culture, and this is really fed into women's bodies, with women's movement. And I really do not want to feed into women feeling worse about themselves
Mhm.
when they go into, an exercise space, a movement space, where your hatred for yourself is going to make somebody else more money.
Mhm.
So for me, when you come to the day retreat, all bodies are good bodies, regardless of your size, your shape, your abilities. We all deserve to be well. We all deserve to have access to practices, traditions, to liberation and community. So that's something that is a fundamental part of, all the yoga that I practice and I will never comment on anybody's weight, whether they've lost weight, put on weight, it's none of my business. Somebody else's body, is not for people to comment on. And that's my personal
Oh
experience
my
of being a
God.
woman, of being in, whether that's black or white spaces.
Yeah.
It's so harmful. And I just think we need a space where we don't feel like we're judged or we're not good enough or we need to be skinnier, we need to be all this. It's just so horrible and it's so draining of our vital energy to be in these spaces, which is pretty much constant, even if it's not in a gym, it could
Mm.
be in a workplace. Workplaces I've been to where it's always one workplace, nearly every conversation was about diets.
Mm.
Actually, most workplaces that I've been into, mainly women, is always talking about diets and whether
Listen,
you're
I
on
was
it.
in some really male spaces and it was all
Oh,
about diets and then
no,
talking about
slimming
fuel and
world.
fasting and oh.
Yeah, it's not it's just let's have a break from all that. Let's just have a break. Let's just rest. Let's just be and not feel a pressure. So is there anything you want to add about like body inclusive spaces?
I've had two, not close together, but there were two deaths in the family. And what sticks out to me is, yeah, it was sad they were passing. But what
Mm,
sticks out to me is sitting in the living room when you're mourning and, you're at the wake or whatever, and then having someone come up to you and go, ah, you eat well. Ah, you
mm,
get fat. Like,
mm,
let's not do this. Let's not
yeah.
be judging or oh,
Or
you
just commenting.
got too skinny. Like, whose
Mm,
business is it anyway? Like, it's
yeah.
such a personal thing. It tends to,
Mm,
it fluctuates. It reflects
mm-hmm,
depending on where you are personally at that point in time,
yeah.
emotionally, maybe financially
Mm-hmm,
even.
yeah.
Like, it's such a loaded thing to do.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm,
don't do it. And we just don't do it in our spaces.
yeah.
We just
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. It's really so detrimental to our mental health and our physical health to have this diet culture and toxicity around, weight and shape, which we know feeds into eating disorders. And just, I also think if women, we didn't think about our body and how much it weighed, how much energy we would have for something else, how much
Mm.
energy, mind space, creativity we'd have to take over the world. But we've all been told we need to think about how much you weigh, think about how much you weigh on the scales, what you look like. And the amount of hours is mind blowing when I think about the collective energy we put into it. We
And
could put in
it's
so
never
many good
positive.
things.
It's never
Hmm?
positive towards. It's never really positive towards health as well. It's not like, oh yeah, I've started running again because I just really love how it makes me feel. I really
Mm,
love how bouncy, how energized I feel.
mm, mm-hmm,
It's always like, oh well, what yoga move is going to help burn the most fat?
mm-hmm,
Comment
mm,
here.
mm,
Interesting and valid points. I was told to lose a few pounds during a yoga class to get into the shape. What? What does that
mm.
mean? If you have a body, you can do
Yes.
yoga.
Yeah. And also that's a very, who was the person telling you you needed to get into shape? It's really, it's not relevant.
Mm.
It's not relevant to that person. It's unsolicited advice, which
Yeah.
you didn't ask for. So, let's try. I try not to give unsolicited advice. It's very difficult sometimes. But for that person to say, you need to get into shape for who? For what? So it's the yoga teachers. You're getting into shape for that yoga teacher. We don't know the background of that yoga teacher. Sadly, a lot of yoga teachers who are very slim actually have eating disorders. There is actually a correlation between unhealthy, I think they call it orthorexia,
Yeah. Yeah.
and people actually having really not the best ways of looking up. Just because they're a yoga teacher does not mean that they have any understanding of nutrition,
Mm.
of your body, of any health issues, medication that you're on. And you're a practitioner of 30 years. You know your body very well.
Mm.
Very, very well. We know our bodies better than somebody who we don't know, you know? So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's just so rude, actually.
It's
It's so
perplexing.
rude. I'm
Mm,
so sorry you had that experience, you know. That's yeah, it's just unacceptable. Really, really unacceptable. And what did you respond to that comment that you needed to lose weight to get into shape for yoga? I would be really interested because that would really shock me if somebody told me that. But we know fat phobia is such a big issue, whether it's in yoga, whether it's in normal life, this commenting on you need to lose weight, you're not in shape. And it's actually like, well, you don't know by looking at somebody, you don't know what they're going through, you don't know anything about them. And that might be that they're at a really good weight. When people put on weight, that might mean that they're doing well, that they're actually happy. Um, so I'll read the comments. So this was also after a hysterectomy. Wow. So I use bolsters for everything. It's hard to navigate in the wellness space as a brown Muslim woman. So you'd also had a major operation. Hysterectomy is, I recently had laparoscopic myomectomy,
mm,
and it's a big operation for our bodies, our minds, our hormones, like the hormonal fluctuations that you would have gone through post hysterectomy.
mm,
I just really feel for you that that judgment was made after you'd been through a really significant health challenge, which for many women that definitely correlates where your weight fluctuates, where you have different, and also also saying as a brown and a Muslim woman as well, I really appreciate that you bring that into it as well,
mm.
because there is, Islamophobia, there is judgments, so thank you. And I'm really sorry that somebody said that to you. It just really, that sort of comments, they're just really harmful and there's no empathy. We really need empathy a lot more. So I'm just going to read Arlene's comment here. Just join in the middle of this conversation. Lots of yoga teachers are ex-dancers. Yes. Oh, like you are, Arlene. I didn't know you're an ex-dancer. So there is a lot of body dysmorphia. Thank you, Arlene. That's really important. Yes, that just because you're a yoga teacher does not mean that you have good and healthy habits. And you like you're saying, body dysmorphia. That usually leads to a lot of very harmful ways of abusing your body.
Mm.
And then that abuse of your own body, they're abusing others with their opinions. Do you want to read the next comment?
Yeah, I told her that I nearly died after my hysterectomy. She raised her eyebrows and said, "You mean you haven't recovered?" Anyway, I spoke to her after the class and told her in a kind way it was wrong.
Wow.
Do you know, yoga, it isn't, the asanas are one part of the practices, the poses are one part of the practice. Surely
Mm,
the whole philosophy of yoga is about empathy. What is this yoga
mm.
teacher doing? Am I right? I
Yeah,
mean, you can speak better
there
to this
is.
than I can, Emma.
Yeah. There is one part, I think in the sutras that actually specifically talks about empathy.
Mm.
And so yeah, so you were open and vulnerable with that person, saying you nearly died. So that's already putting you into a position of, you know, I'm trusting them with my information, and then they use that information almost against you to say, why haven't you healed?
Mm.
This is is she a surgeon? Has she had a hysterectomy? I presume she has not. So, but I'm really glad that you told her that what she said was wrong, because that is horrendous. And I do hope that she does not say that to another woman, because this thing about, and also within yoga, there, I think it's a word called healthism, and
Mm.
this superiority of health. That
Mm.
if you're healthy, that means you're a good person. You've done all the right things. You're holier than thou.
Mm.
So this is a very toxic part of yoga, because it's almost like, well, if you do yoga, you should be perfect. You should have a perfect body. You should never be ill. Why are you ill? And blaming the person with a chronic illness or a disability,
Mhm.
which is a load of bollocks. I swear, because I'm very passionate about this. This is very, very, very horrible.
Mm.
Um, so, did you want to read them comments? That
Um, one of them, I'm going to ignore that one because we're happy to have you to talk here. So
yes,
thank
yes.
you.
So
And
sorry
then
for
the
taking
second
over
one,
the chat.
do no harm. Ahimsa. Do you know?
Ahimsa, yeah. Ahimsa is no harm to self and to others as well. Like it's really one of the foundational aspects to yoga, which, sadly, the philosophy does not really, and that's an ethic of yoga, ahimsa, number one. So thank you, Arlene, for highlighting ahimsa. So, so important and so simple.
Mm.
Um, So, and yoga is breath, not the shape I am as a yoga teacher, definitely. It's really everyone has, yoga is a liberation practice, a liberation from, it depends what school of thought, liberation from suffering, liberation from the suffering of the mind, of the body, and we all are worthy of that. There is no, oh, this person deserves to suffer. No, we all have come here as human beings. Maybe we believe in that, as a divine experience. We're divine beings, and our body is a suit that we wear and a
Mm.
part of it. So let's.
One more
Samantha's
comment
put
here. I
here.
find a lot of poses don't take into account injuries, why I've moved from it. Yeah,
Mm, mm,
um, I'd find at the beginning of some classes I've been into where oh, have you got any injuries? And you tell them, and it's almost like it breezed over their heads.
mm. They're
Like,
like, oh, I don't know what to do with you. Can you leave?
like, why did you ask? But
Yes.
actually, I've done classes with Emma, obviously,
Mhm,
and it's
mhm,
just been like, what is sticking? What isn't? Moving.
mhm,
No,
mhm,
here's an alternative. Here's different
mhm.
variations, and
Yeah.
that's been so important.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sorry so much for the places you've been to. And I think if you're looking for a yoga class, you have to try different places out and maybe send them an email and say, what's your experience working with X, Y, Z? Do you know what to, how to adjust or how to um, work with people with different bodies and different injuries? And actually, the next point is kind of coming into what we're talking about is, a space for disabled people, people with health conditions to join in with wellness. And you don't have to be thin, you don't have to be perfectly healthy to come and do, practice wellness, practice yoga.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, and did you want to maybe say something from your own experience? So you said about doing the yoga with me
Yeah.
and how this was for your own health conditions and managing.
Well, I kind of want to speak to. Well, yeah, I want to speak to that, but first I want to say
Mm,
I've been to so many of your classes now, and the amount of people I hear say, I've not been to a yoga class like that. That was exactly what I needed. That was so gentle. I thought you were going to be bending me this way, that way, like a pretzel. And this was so, this was just
mm,
so relaxing. This is what I needed, actually.
mm,
And
mm, mm,
I think that speaks to the fact that there are different types of yoga. So many of us are used to these very fast vinyasa flows where it's like
mm,
push up, chaturanga, down,
mm,
up, leg behind the
yeah.
head. Like it's so fast moving, which has
Mhm,
place. It really does.
mhm,
But sometimes you need you need calm. You need
mm,
slow. And that has really, moving on to my experience, being
mm,
in your classes where it has been that slow, that intentional, that like
mhm,
loving yoga, doing that
mm,
myself at home has been
mm,
an integral part of helping me, especially when I'm
mm,
in pain or cramps. Because I've
mm,
been off
mm,
of painkillers for a number of years now, and I've
mm,
been sort of staircasing these, or like layering rather, these different
mhm,
practices to really help with that management. And this has
mm,
been so crucial in helping with that
mm,
management, that ease of movement, especially when I'm not able to move so fast,
mhm.
but still need movement.
Mm, mm, mm. Thank you. Yeah, that's, and I think there definitely is a time and a place for the different practices.
Mm,
However, we must consider lots of factors. So our age,
mhm,
our stress levels, which a lot of us, we are under so much stress,
yeah.
whether it's, being a brown woman, being a black woman, a Muslim woman, we've got health conditions, we're looking after bambinos, we're running around.
Looking after parents.
Parents, our stress levels are already up here. So
Mm,
actually we need to lower the stress levels because a very dynamic class. It's putting stress is not bad, but this is elevating our stress levels. So if you're somebody who is very young, very fit, you need a good workout, you've been sitting at your desk all day, but you have loads of energy, that is
mm,
a great practice for you.
mm,
Maybe you're, not always younger, but it tends to be when you're in your 20s, that's when you've got most energy. And
mm,
as you get older, our bodies slow down,
mm,
and our responsibilities increase. So it makes sense that we calm the nervous system through a more gentle, mindful approach. And also within the yoga tradition, actually, as we age, we go towards the more mindful aspects, the philosophy, the breathing practices. This is a natural progression of a yogi. We don't, to the age of 100, trying to keep doing more and more advanced asana. That's not the way. It's that you become more, um, a more inward
mm.
reflection, inward practices of yoga. Um, Let me just come into having a look at some of the comments that we have coming in. So, Surrey Hills Wellness said, my sister is a yoga teacher of 35 years. She's increasingly worried about these flat pack yoga courses offered now. It is so dangerous. Yoga can be arrogant and capitalistic. Yes, it really is the Wild West. It really is that
Mm,
there is this capitalist focus of doing it quick, doing it superficially,
mm,
and really not looking at the whole person at all. So I definitely agree. So Arlene, Sound Bath Arlene, who said that's to do with the teacher and the understanding of the body, anatomy, and a good teacher. Over 40 years of experience, understanding that life is a process and body is changing. Yes.
mm,
And I actually think, Arlene, it's good to go to an older, not always, but it's good to go to an older teacher because you have been through different stages of your life and you can think, okay, this person needs this person needs this.
mm,
If you go to a very young, very, very fit person, they're not always going to be able, they're not, sometimes they're going to do extra training, they're going to be able to be really brilliant.
mm,
However, there is an aspect of lived experience which that if that person has been through that stage in their life, has been through pregnancy, been through all different things, they can actually think, actually, I know what that stage of life is like and I know what that person may appreciate at this time.
mm,
So refocus being said, I don't bother sharing about injuries or health. That's really sad. It's not considered in the session and it's personal. Yeah, actually, I do think that. I don't think I want to share in front of a full class. Yeah, okay. So
mm,
that's a really good point actually around privacy. And where possible, I do try to email people before they come to class and say, if there is something, please let me know, because mine is more of a small class. I know who's signing up. It's not a drop in.
mm,
And I always have that space. If people want to share, they obviously don't have to share because I don't want to go into my whole medical history in a yoga class. No. And sometimes I've said, actually, I don't want to go into it. I've had an operation and that's probably enough.
mm,
Um, so yeah, that personal boundaries and autonomy.
mm,
Yeah, which you are saying, no, in this situation, and if you've been practicing yoga for a long time, you already know what you can and can't do. You're probably more confident to say, no, I'm not going to do that today. Thank you very much.
mm,
Um, So Sari Hills Werner said, in my yoga classes, I have always offered different ways to be, but it's all about being in the mind and the body. So important, definitely. Oh, let me try and.
Got lived experience is invaluable.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. If you haven't, not always, but I think as from my way of thinking is unless you've embodied that practice or done that practice or had benefits or whatever it is, it's very difficult to teach something you don't live yourself or lived at some point in your life. So thank you for the conversation, everyone. It's been really good. So in terms of values, so another one, is there anything you want to say on, finish off on the disabled people? So just to say, people have come who use a chair, they're not able to get down on the floor. People who are blind, hard of hearing, where they may need to come to the front of the room, they lip read, and also offering breaks. So it's not very regimented. If you need to take a break, have a lay down, or if you need to have a little wander around, do what you need to do. So the next one is welcoming to LGBTQ folks and making them feel included as well. So this is something I'm very passionate about because lots of my loved ones, family members are part of that community. And again, all bodies are welcome. All bodies deserve wellness, healing, liberation, and a person's sexual orientation is not a factor for people to be excluded at all. So I really do want to ensure that people feel that they can come along, but also is to know actually, again, so this lived experience, not lived experience. This is not my lived experience of living as an LGBTQ person, but trying to be an ally and trying to learn and trying to think, how can I make these spaces more welcoming and inclusive? So is there, so let me just sort this out here.
Yeah, it's important to recognize that people come with different life experiences. Like we're supposed to
Mm-hmm.
have different life experiences. So the fact that you are existing as you are shouldn't be a
Mm-hmm.
reason for exclusion.
Yeah,
Doesn't
sorry,
make sense.
I was just having to block someone who's trying to join our live who I have no idea who they are, so I've just blocked them.
Okay.
It's always a man who tries to join a live, a random man.
So
They
cute.
always think that they have a right to invade every single space a woman is in. Sorry. So yeah, I was a little bit not fully focused. So yeah, LGBTQ folks to come along and be a part of the community because in communities of color we look at the things actually, yes, we have this wonderful ancestral healing and wonderful joyful things, but also we have the other sides where within communities there is harmful aspects that need to be interrogated and say, actually, no, this is not a part of my culture that I'm passing along.
Mhm.
And, within the Caribbean, within Jamaica, the homophobia is still a massive, massive problem and very harmful. And for people to be excluded to such a level and be harmed at such a level, they absolutely need to feel welcome in Black BIPOC spaces and know, actually, we want you to be a part of it. We want you to be here with us. Your wellness is really important. Um, and if anybody has anything to say about this, I would love to hear from you, from your lived experience. Is there anything else on that one
No, just
you want to add?
apparently in Caribbean communities, it can. I know in lots of, in fact, lots of global majority cultures, because of colonization,
Mm-hmm.
has become something that is just, akin and aligned with the worst thing you can do, which makes it so sad because that
Mm-hmm.
those weren't the cultures prior to colonization. There was a
Mm-hmm.
welcoming and openness. Even
Mm-hmm.
certain people within the LGBTQ
Mm-hmm.
community being seen as, intermediaries between the spiritual world
Mm-hmm.
and the physical world. So it's
Yeah.
completely on the flip.
Yeah, yeah. And in Indian culture, or Hindu culture, the hijra, I believe that they actually give blessings at weddings. They are trans people, and they've been known to have that spiritual um, knowledge, and just by being, they have that divinity, and they actually bless weddings. Also within the Dagara tradition within Burkina Faso, West Africa, as you said about being the intermediary. So the LGBT people within the community were known as a really important part of between the spirit world and the human world, and also within the different genders, the women and the men, they were seen as a really important, really just part of functioning society, and really valued for who they were, not being changed, just knowing actually, yeah, people are like that, get over it. Really, do you know what I mean?
Literally.
Yeah, just get over it. It shouldn't be an issue in today's day and age, but it still is. And then and one more is an important topic, extremely complex, that we probably don't have a lot of time to go into, but is anti-blackness and colorism as well. So these are massive problems within Black communities, with communities of color. And it's really, firstly, is acknowledging how harmful it is, because there is a lot of like, this doesn't happen, it's not really that bad, we need to focus on racism, we need to all come together. But actually, colorism is a massive thing, and it's extremely harmful. And that is it called can't remember what the word is, but that violence within a community is more painful than if it's coming from the dominant white culture. I can't remember what it's called. Do you know what the word is?
Intraracial?
Mm, we could go with that. It's not that. That's not what I was thinking, but let's go for that. It sounds good.
It can be completely harmful to be within the community and know that
Mm-hmm.
who, are lighter skinned
Mm-hmm.
are, there's almost like a caste system within that. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's really damaging. It's really
Mm-hmm.
damaging. And it's important to
Mm-hmm.
understand, if you do have lighter skin, to understand your position within that structure, and understand, um, that it is a different lived experience, and
Mm-hmm.
to hold up the voices of the
Mm-hmm.
people who are able to speak to what they've experienced,
Mm-hmm.
instead of
Mm-hmm.
trying to speak over it.
Definitely, definitely. Um, yeah, I really do agree. And like you said, finding people who can speak on this better than
Mhm.
and better than us as well.
Yeah.
And I'll just have somebody I worked with a couple of months back. She did as a mentor.
Mhm.
She was a Black woman, West African, lived in France, and she said she was very interested to work with me, but she was very unsure, because I was light skin, mixed race, and she was very had an expectation that there would be a real kind of feeling like I'm better than her, anti-blackness, colorism. And I think it's important that we remember that we have to work a bit harder. We have to work harder to try and navigate that people who look like us are anti-black.
Mhm.
And there is this hierarchy that's gone back again through colonization within the Caribbean, across Africa. Also, we're looking at the whole of Asia as well with its colorism,
Mhm.
and saying, yes, people are going to, they're going to test us a little bit, and they're going to make it a little bit harder for us to check, oh, are they actually really, is their values and what they're saying truly lining up with their behavior?
Mhm.
So knowing, actually, if we're going to say, yeah, we want to welcome Black women, darker skinned women, people will have a right to check us. They really do have a right.
Ask
And
questions. I'll answer
yeah,
honestly. If it
yeah.
doesn't feel like a safe response, one thing. So I've done
Mm-hmm.
a lot of various spaceholder trainings, and all of the things
Mm-hmm.
that constantly come up is you can't tell someone it's a safe space, because what's safe
Mm-hmm.
for you isn't safe for them.
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
what we can do is answer those questions that you have,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
and then you can make your decision based on that. All we
Mhm.
do is make sure that we're upholding to these values that we have, and they are
Mhm.
values. They are deeply entrenched within us
Mhm.
through,
Mhm.
lived experience of being around loved ones or lots
Mhm.
of research.
Mhm.
So do ask those questions. That's really
Mhm.
important.
Mm, mm, mm. And say, oh, do you know what? Afterwards, if you've been to an event and you say, actually, do you know what? I wasn't really happy with that particular way you said something, or somebody else in the group said something. Could
Mm,
you address that? Please do. People do that. And I hope, and that's something that I feel is something that is hard. It's hard to be challenged. We're all human. We don't like to make mistakes. However, if people can come to us and say, Emma, I didn't, that was something that I wasn't sure about. I didn't really like that. I wish you could have addressed it in a different way. For people to feel safe enough to challenge and question is
mhm.
actually the sign of actually a really good community that you're creating and building. Because I'd rather somebody pull me up than not come back again and think, oh, I had a bad experience, I'm not coming. It's about where we see harm's been done and we can
Mm,
actually figure it out together and we can work it out, because sometimes we don't know. It's that unconscious bias. And um, that is the true sign of, I'm trying to think of a word. It's actually really very, very healing to be able to say to somebody, you did something wrong, and we actually work it out without a big fallout, without not speaking to each other ever again.
Reparation, the word you're looking for.
Reparation. For which word? Sorry.
To
What with the other one?
reparative or retributive, to be able to say to someone like, this is how we essentially repair the situation.
Yes, yes. Yeah, reparative. Reparative?
Yeah.
I think I'm making it words. But yeah, so and for me in some spiritual communities I've had, there's been harm done and I've just left the community and not said something. And there's been harm done and I've said something and I was really scared to say something because I really respected them and I was thinking I'm not going to go back. But I
Mm,
spoke to them, they listened to me, and we worked forwards. And I still go to them now because I think, wow, that's the first situation I've been in when I've been truly listened to. We could
mhm,
say, yeah, they said actually reflection, that probably wasn't the right idea.
mm,
And you know, for this is about safety, is about challenging as well, isn't it? And saying, let's I feel safe enough to challenge you without having to be harmed again or to argue or to say it wasn't meant like that. And it's to say, do you know what? Thank you from a
mhm.
personal. Maybe I'm feeling a little bit ego, but actually we're going to move forward from this. Um, so I'm just going to read the comments and then we're going to kind of wrap up the conversation. So I
Sure.
recently went to a class I'd not been to before. It was so whitewashed. I was saddened so much. It distracted me from the practice. Oh, bless you. I'm so sorry to hear that. It's really,
I,
yeah, I could,
that's it's sad to say, like, my expectations for so many of these things have been so lowered because I've been in
mm,
many of those spaces. It's like,
yeah,
it's so sad. It's so sad. It doesn't need to
mm,
happen. We can have
yeah,
spaces that are culturally attuned, culturally
yeah.
aware.
Yeah, yeah. It's really because, this is from your cultural heritage, as a South Asian person from
But not being
India.
we have the internet now. Like, maybe this would have slightly
Uh,
flown 25 years ago, but
mm,
we have the internet. You can educate
yeah,
yourself on anything for as much
mm,
as it costs your Wi-Fi.
yeah.
Like, it doesn't fly anymore. It doesn't fly for me.
I agree. I agree. And yeah, it just must be. I can't. For me, I feel a certain way. I feel upset, but I'm actually not from. I'm not South Asian, so it's a different type of hurt and a different type of harm that I can only empathize with because it it's erasure
Mhm.
and no, it's just, yeah, it's horrible to be erased, isn't it? Because it's this thing of like, I'll take the culture, but I'll ignore the people,
Mm,
which is a very colonial British thing that will take all the artifacts, we'll repackage everything and make it out that we discovered it.
Mhm.
and it's really incredibly harmful. I'm so sorry that you had that experience. I really feel for you. And yeah, it happens a lot within yoga. Um, yeah, it really does. And do I see things changing? Not especially. Not on a so
Okay.
refocus your being just said so true. It hurts deeply. And I really appreciate that you said that, because people who in this community come from different backgrounds, a lot of people practicing yoga and meditation, and I don't think we understand how painful and hurtful it is for somebody who's South Asian to come into a yoga class, which is so mainstream now, so mainstream capitalist, where you're not being respected. That's really what it comes down to. You are not having that respect that you should have.
Mm.
Um, so I'm just gonna come to the final comments to kind of wrap up the conversation. So Arlene said, great conversation. Sorry I have to go now. Blessing all. Thank you for joining, Arlene.
Thank you,
Um,
Holly.
and I'll be seeing Arlene in Bali because she signed up to my Bali retreat. So I'm very excited about that. Samantha said, what do you think about African yoga? Don't have time to go into that topic,
Oh,
but
that will have to be a next one.
yeah, maybe for a future one. There's lots of different conversations here where I might try and find somebody to come on, talk about it.
Yeah.
Some of these topics that are not necessarily, I'm sure there's people way more expert than me. So brilliant sort of question that I think about, but I haven't fully dived into. So we thank you for everybody who's joined this conversation. So the next day retreat that we're having is on the 6th of September. So that's next Saturday
Mhm.
in Birmingham. So if you are able to come along and join us, we would really love to have you come along. We have a gentle asana practice. Love will be talking about some herbs that can support you with feeling more relaxed, feeling
Mhm.
more rested, and also with sleep as well.
Mhm.
Um, and then I will be doing a yoga nidra practice, which helps you to reach a very deep state of relaxation to help you come into that rest and digest mode. And it's just cozy. People have a little nap, and people just, a lot of people have a sleep in my class. And I take that as a compliment that you feel safe enough to fall asleep in a group of strangers. So if you are a mom, you're running around looking after your bambinos, this is a perfect space for you to come and just, have that afternoon to yourself to relax, be around like-minded people. There's no expectations that you have to look like this, you have to wear these clothes. You just come as you are, and that is good enough. So if you'd like to come along, you can either message me or you can click the link in the bio and go to Healing Space BIPOC, which is space, the word, and then BIPOC is BIPOC.com. And it's 1:30 till 5:30 in Birmingham. And the early bird price finishes on the 30th of August. So we hope to see you then. If you can't come along, send it to a friend who needs some relaxation, and we will hopefully see you soon. So thank you, love, for joining me. Can't wait to see you next week.
Looking forward to seeing you and see you all there.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you for joining.